Welcome back. We're here with Amanda from Hooves. Amanda, thank you for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me, Easton.
Of course, I'm excited. I volunteered here a couple months ago last year. Got to get, a good experience of like what you do, and I'm excited to, have you share your expertise on your nonprofit and how you're kind of helping people change their lives. So, thank you.
Absolutely.
So, when a veteran comes to Hooves, what is the biggest obstacle they have to overcome?
I think the biggest obstacle they have to overcome is, let me say it like this. I think the biggest obstacle veterans have to overcome before they come to Hooves is knowing that they're going to change and that their life is going to be different afterwards. I think change can be attractive, but it can also be scary sometimes.
And do you think a lot of them kind of come here saying they want to change, but they kind of have like a resistance of like being comfortable where they are?
Definitely, I'll say, I definitely think that anyone facing change does have some resistance. I think it's subconscious. I think we can feel like desperate for change, knowing that we want a new life. But our subconscious mind runs a program and it doesn't know the difference between right, wrong, good, or bad. It just knows what's been put into it. So, definitely, when somebody is going to experience change, there's a transition period. But a lot of the work that we do, while it's sentient, while it's nature based, it's also very scientific and neuroscience based. And so we really take into account that in order for someone to change their life, they first have to change the neural pathways in their brain.
I always find that interesting with Joe Dispenza and his work and being able to just change your entire reality is a very interesting topic that I think is just now being discovered of like, wow, like this is actually possible.
Absolutely.
And why did you choose horses as the vehicle to help veterans heal?
I chose horses as the vehicle to help veterans heal because of my own personal profound experience. And I had a incredible healing with a wild horse. I won't say how long ago, named Shelby, and I still have her here today. She's an integral part of our program. And it was before I really knew the ins and outs of healing, but I was living in Colorado on the Air Force Academy, and I adopted this wild Mustang who was just 15 months old. And what I realized was through learning how to train her, when I would go into work with her every day, I knew that if I didn't show up in a particular way that was safe, that was not erratic, that was not loud, that she wouldn't connect with me. So I actually rewired my brain through training this wild horse. As I would show up every day, I would put myself first into this state of calm and presence. And as I did that over time, I changed, my perception changed, the things I was willing to tolerate in my life changed. And I think it's really an empowering experience when you can get a 1,200-pound animal that doesn't speak your language to connect with you. Like it truly changes your heart. And I realized in that moment that I believe that horses are some of the most powerful catalysts for people to change their life. And then that was compounded when I started sharing my experience with other veterans and seeing how it's worked for them as well.
So you would say horses are a lot more intelligent than we think they are.
I absolutely believe that horses are some of the most intelligent and sentient beings on the planet. And I think they tune into us in a way that helps us really come home to ourselves and be authentic. Dogs are pack animals. So if dogs see you as the pack leader, they'll self sacrifice for you. They will do anything to please the pack leader. Horses are herd animals. So what that means, and they're non predatory. So what that means is they have a really high sense of self preservation. So they're not looking to please you, they're looking to figure out if you're safe because staying alive is really important in the wild and they're constantly filtering their environment to see if it's safe. And so when we are authentic, our nervous system is calm. When we're trying to hide ourselves, our nervous system is heightened. And so horses plug right into our nervous system and they start to read where we're at. And what's really cool is not only do they have this capability to tune into our nervous system and project back to us what's going on, but they're kind of like beacons of truth in real life. So when we have a shift in perspective, the horse will actually shift in real time in our environment. So I think it really validates the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza. And what it does is people frequently come in skeptic, but the horse will validate what's going on inside of them. And when you can watch a 1,200-pound animal that doesn't speak English shift the moment you have a shift in your head, it just drives home how powerful our mind is and how much power and control we actually have to create change in our life.
That's interesting. Uh, I find that very, very fascinating, especially when we look past, like you said, they don't speak English, but there's a deeper connection. Like there's something that nature and animals see that we don't see as humans because we're ignorant or because we don't have that heightened sense of consciousness for other reasons that the people in power don't want us to have. Um,
Absolutely. And I will say as well, one of the benefits that the veterans have mentioned over and over and over again is that they can't talk because I think they're so used to everyone giving them advice all the time. And that can be overwhelming. And a lot of times they'll say, the horses can't say anything. They can't judge me and they can't give me advice. So I feel really calm and relaxed.
well, would you say that as humans, and I think this is kind of like the advantage of that, of as humans, I think we're very poor at expressing ourselves. What we feel inside, we do a very poor job of expressing in words because the English language isn't the best at doing that. So I think when you bring a horse that's deeply connected to its source and to nature, it drives right to the point versus trying to
Absolutely.
come up with a way to express your feelings in words.
Absolutely. And the cool thing about horses and their heightened sense of awareness is that, we're communicating through mirror neurons all the time, right? 80% of human communication is nonverbal. So we're having conversations with everyone around us all the time. That's why sometimes when we go in public, if we're highly aware or highly sensitive, we get home and we're exhausted, right? So we're always having these nonverbal conversations, and horses can have these conversations at an amplified level. So a lot of times people are like, well, I feel like this horse gets me better than a person. Like this horse understands and it gets me. And so horses can communicate and have a whole conversation with us through mirror neurons nonverbally, and they really do know what we're saying.
I find that very fascinating.
It is.
Um, when a veteran tells you that hooves have changed their life, how does that make you feel?
Well, that's a great question. And let's see, I'm very cautious when a veteran tells me, you changed my life or who's changed my life. Because if I'm the one that gave that person the change, then that's my credit to take, not theirs. And that also means that they didn't do it themselves and they need me. So when a veteran comes and says, I wouldn't be alive today if it wasn't for hooves, of course, that's the deepest honor, right? That's the goal, is to keep people alive. Really, that's at the root of everything that we do. But when that's expressed to me, and a lot of the veterans who have been around for a while, make fun of me and they laugh, but oh, don't tell Amanda she changed her life because I can't take that credit. And so I generally respond with, I'm so proud of you that you did the work to change your life. And I was happy to provide you with the framework.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. And it really has them show like, yes, Amanda gave me the tools, but then I use those tools to change my life. So it was me at the end of the day, which means I can go do this in other places or other aspects of my life without needing someone else.
Absolutely. And, and that's the goal. And not to, there's nothing bad to say about therapy or some of these other modalities, but I'm just very big on, this is your life. Who gets to decide? And if you come to me and you need me to answer questions for you about how you go about living your life, then you're not actually empowered. And now we've just created another attachment for you to manage your symptoms. So, what I want to do here with the veterans that come is show them a framework to go from being a victim of their history really to a master of their destiny. And that always starts with the question, who gets to decide?
I think taking radical accountability for your life is very, very important. And with your mission, it's all about helping people overcome their struggles. How do you, on a daily basis or a weekly basis, make sure that you're taking care of yourself?
That's a great question. I think when you're a leader of a nonprofit, it's really easy to get overwhelmed in other people's stuff and the fundraising. And, we care for wounded animals, and then we also care for challenged veterans. And there have been times where my burnout meter has gotten quite high. And I feel like if I can't steward this work, if I can't practice what I preach to other people, then I'm not being authentic as well. So I do hold this work in high regard. I do use the tools every day. And I did realize, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a business owner, and I'm sure every business owner can relate to what I'm going to say, there are no days off. That is not realistic. And if you think you can take a day off, a lot of times you pay for that later on, right? And so I came to grips with the fact that I don't ever really have a day off. But if I can't take care of myself, then I really can't possibly take care of anyone else. So I have carved out 1 hour a day, no matter what's going on in my day, and I dedicate that to whatever I need to do, whether it's my yoga, my meditation, reading. I'm always learning. So I did decide that I owe myself 1 hour a day just for me to do whatever I need to do to get through that day. And that has really been tremendously helpful.
I think pacing yourself and allowing yourself to take that hour off, or allowing yourself even to watch TV for an hour without beating yourself up. I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners get in that place where like, I can't watch TV, or I can't play video games, or I can't do this. And they always think, well, if I take an hour off, then I'm not going to succeed. But taking that hour
Absolutely.
off to do something you enjoy allows you to pace yourself for the long run.
Absolutely. Totally agree with that.
I have two more questions for you.
Great.
If you had the opportunity to redo your life with the knowledge that you have now, would you do that?
Man. That's a great question. And it's something that we talk a lot about at Hooves, because the work here is really about understanding that every challenge that you've had, while we're not negating the struggle of it, there has been a gift in it as well. So I can say that with the work that I've done, that I wouldn't change a thing.
That's fair. I feel like a lot of people with that perspective would agree. Of like these challenges or these struggles, yes, I could change them, but then that changing them could change who I am.
Absolutely. And I can say with certainty that every challenge I've faced, even some that have been catastrophic, if I had to give back the challenge, I would have to give back the gift.
One more question for you. If you could have dinner with two people, one person from the past and one person from the present, who would it be and why?
I was not prepared for that question. If I could have dinner with one person from the past, I would love to have dinner with Carl Jung, because I feel like a lot of his philosophies and work are things that have really run true with me. And there are things that I try to teach today and pass forward to other people. So I would love to have the opportunity to hear his story and how he actually discovered a lot of the stuff that he did. If I could have dinner with anybody today, it would be Doug Collins, who's the Secretary of Veteran Affairs, because I would share with him the work that's being done here that has been proven to be effective, and I would lobby for his support to be able to create more facilities like this that can absolutely prevent suicide in our veterans.
I love it. Well, Amanda, those are all the questions I have for you. How can people find you guys, and what is one thing you want to leave people with?
People can find us on our socials, which is at Hooves for Vets, or our website, hooves.us. And if I could leave people with one thing, I would just ask you to think. Everybody I know knows a veteran. I've never met anybody that doesn't know a veteran. Most people know a veteran who's struggling. It takes 2 seconds to share our information, and sharing our information with veterans who are in need can literally be a matter of life and death.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Amanda. I appreciate it. And we dove into science of the horses, which I was not expecting. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Thank you for the opportunity.